From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Wednesday, July the 24th, 2019. We open with the U.S. House of Representatives' overwhelming passage across party lines of a resolution against BDS. 398 to 17, with 5 abstentions, voted to pass Resolution 246, which was introduced by Democrat Brad Schneider of Illinois, Republican Lee Zeldin of New York, Democrat Jerry Nadler of New York, and Republican Ann Wagner of Missouri, and co-sponsored by almost 80% of Congress. It opposes the global boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement targeting Israel and all efforts to delegitimize the state of Israel, stating that BDS undermines the possibility for a negotiated solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict by demanding concessions of one party alone and encouraging the Palestinians to reject negotiations in favor of international pressure. The measure also calls for security aid to Israel and for a two-state solution. Pro-Israel lobby AIPAC said the resolution sends a powerful message that the House of Representatives explicitly rejects discrimination directed against the Jewish state through economic, cultural, and political boycotts. B'nai B'rith International said the votes this evening send a strong signal to the world that the House, on behalf of the American people, stands with Israel. Leaders of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations, Arthur Stark and Malcolm Hoenlein, said at its core, the BDS movement does not aim to effect political change, but to undermine and deny Israel's right to exist, and that in the bill's passage, Congress has taken a strong stand in support of Israel's right to exist in safety and the Jewish people's right to self-determination. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanked the House for passing the resolution. He said this attests to the support for Israel in the U.S. This support is bipartisan and is important to us. I welcome this decision. It is right, it is correct, and it is very helpful. Well, terror group Hamas did end up making a statement late last night regarding missing IDF soldiers whose remains are being held in Gaza and civilians that Hamas is said to be holding as well. A spokesman for Hamas's military wing, Abu Obeida, accused the Israeli government of lying about its MIAs, saying the enemy's leadership avoids having to deal with the truth and is paying the price. Also warning that the window of opportunity, apparently for negotiations, to see the return of the soldiers' remains and civilians is closing soon. IDF soldiers Hadar Golden and Oron Shaul were killed in Operation Protective Edge, the 2014 war with Gaza, their bodies taken by the terror group. Avira Mengistu and Hisham Shaban Asayed entered Gaza on their own in 2014 and 2015, respectively, and are believed to suffer from mental health issues. Marking the 5-year anniversary of the war at Jerusalem's Mount Herzl, yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu vowed to return Golden and Shaul's remains, saying he could not share details, but that much was being done in that effort. The Golden and Shaul families did not attend the ceremony, but rather held their own in the adjacent parking lot to Mount Herzl to express frustration over what they call inaction by Netanyahu in returning their boys home. Israel's security agency announced that it had uncovered and shut down an Iranian intelligence network that was trying to recruit spies in Israel, in the West Bank and Gaza, in order to ultimately carry out terror attacks against Israel. The Shin Bet said today that the network was operated from Syria and tried to find Israeli intelligence assets through fake Facebook profiles and other social media sites. Prosecutors in Germany have charged a former SS soldier with incitement and Holocaust denial. 96-year-old Karl Munter was convicted back in 1949 in France for murdering 86 people during the Holocaust, but was pardoned in 1955. In a recent TV interview, Munter blamed his victims for their own deaths and denied that 6 million Jews were murdered during the Holocaust. Munter could face up to 5 years in jail for incitement and 2 years for disparaging the memory of the deceased if he is convicted. Well, The Forward has named its new editor-in-chief. New York Times reporter and editor Jody Rudorin will succeed veteran Jane Eisner, who led the Jewish paper since 2008. the first woman to do so, until major layoffs this past January with the announcement that the print edition of the paper was shutting down and going digital only. Rudoran said in a statement, "I am thrilled to be joining the Forward, a storied institution ready to reinvent for this digital moment." Over 2,500 Jewish teenagers and staff from 29 states across the U.S. and also from Canada, Argentina, and the U.K., taking part in 14 different summer programs in Israel, got together for one night in the city of Ra'anana last week. The programs are all run by the Orthodox Union's NCSY, the National Council of Synagogue Youth, including one group of over 200 teens with disabilities. At the gathering, the groups dedicated an ambucycle to United Hatzalah. NCSY Summer Director David Cutler said at the event, "It doesn't matter what your religious background is, it's about a united, non-judgmental, encouraging environment celebrating our shared connections in the home of the Jewish people." Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Wednesday, July the 24th. At 7 o'clock, it's part 2 of Witness with Holocaust survivor Paul Strassman. At 8, Israeli author Yossi Klein Halevi and TV journalist David Gregory talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict with Rabbi Angela Bushdahl. At 9, Mark Golov sits down with Professor Mordechai Kedar, who discusses the root causes of anti-Semitism in the U.S., how anti-Semitism relates to Zionism, and prospects for peace. And please note a scheduling change for 10 o'clock tonight with the passing of Robert Morgenthau this past Monday at the age of 99. We will replay the iconic former Manhattan DA's 2015 conversation with his wife Lucinda Franks regarding her memoir, Timeless: Love, Morgenthau, and Me. And coming up right after this newscast, it's Thinking Out Loud with Micah Halpern. And that's the JBS News Update for Wednesday, July the 24th, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader.